Smoke ripped through the night before Amara even understood she was running. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears as branches slashed at her arms. Behind her, something moved. Something heavy. Something that breathed like it had lived long before humans knew fear. The villagers' shouts echoed from far away, swallowed by the forest. She stumbled over a root, almost fell, and forced herself upright just as a whisper curled against her ear, too close to be human. "Come back!" Amara spun, eyes wide. Nothing. Only darkness vibrating with a low hum. She didn't stop running again until she burst out of the forest, gasping, shaking, drenched in sweat, back into the moonlit village square. And as the torchlight flickered across her face, the villagers looked at her not with concern, but with something like recognition. That was 2 nights after she returned to her ancestral village. 2 nights after her grandmother's burial. 2 nights after she realized something was deeply, horribly wrong with this place. But the real beginning had started hours earlier, when she first stepped off the rickety village bus. Amara dragged her suitcase along the dusty road, noting how nothing had changed since childhood visits. Same cracked mud walls, same tiny houses leaning into the wind, same expectant silence, like the village held its breath for visitors. She had come for her grandmother's burial, nothing more. A quick visit, a quick farewell, a quick trip back to the city where life made sense. But when she walked past the first cluster of huts, the villagers froze. Women at the well stopped drawing water. Men sharpening tools paused mid-scrape. Even the goats stopped chewing. They whispered her name as if testing it. Amara! She came. She really came back. Their eyes followed her with a mixture of relief and dread she couldn't decode. An elder finally approached, a hunched man with cloudy eyes. "Your grandmother is waiting," he said quietly. "We must bury her before nightfall." Before nightfall. Why? She asked him, but he only shook his head. Inside her grandmother's hut, candles crowded every corner. Her grandmother lay on a mat, wrapped in a cloth marked with symbols Amara had never seen. Sharp spirals, hooks, a circle split in half like a broken moon. Sitting beside the body were 3 village elders. They stared at Amara as though she were the one lying dead. "You arrived just in time," one murmured. "For what?" Amara asked. No one answered. During the burial, villagers refused to let her touch the body. They muttered prayers in a language older than anything Amara remembered hearing in her childhood. And every time the wind blew, the elders stiffened, eyes darting to the forest. After the burial, a young child approached Amara timidly. "Grandma said you would come," the girl whispered. "She said you have to finish what she started." Amara frowned. "Finish what?" The child leaned in closer. "The ritual, the one she couldn't hold anymore." Before she could ask more, the child's mother grabbed her and dragged her away. That night, unable to sleep, Amara left the hut to clear her mind. But instead of silence, she heard chanting, distant, rhythmic, coming from the forest. Despite every instinct screaming at her to ignore it, she followed the sound. Halfway into the trees, she found them. Villagers. Dozens. In a circle, holding torches, faces painted with the same symbols from her grandmother's burial cloth. They moved in perfect rhythm, chanting words that pulsed through the air. At the center of the circle lay items Amara recognized too well. Her grandmother's walking stick, her beaded bracelet, her headscarf, and a bowl of dark liquid that reflected the flames like an endless pit. Amara stepped closer without thinking. A twig snapped. Every head turned toward her. The chanting stopped instantly. One of the elders stepped forward, voice low. "You shouldn't be here yet." "Yet?" Amara echoed. "What exactly are you all doing? What is this ritual?" Silence. Then another elder spoke, trembling slightly. "It is not for you to understand, only to finish." Amara felt her breath catch. "Finish? I don't know what you're talking about." "You will," he murmured. "The blood chooses its keeper." Amara backed away slowly, chest tightening. "No, whatever this is, leave me out of it." But before she could escape, the torches flickered violently. A cold wind surged between them. Something moved in the darkness beyond the trees. Every villager dropped to their knees. A whisper floated through the forest. threading every branch, every breath, every shadow. Amara. Her name, her blood ran cold. If you're gripped already, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, because the rest of this story gets far more terrifying. And it's only getting started. Amara froze. That whisper didn't come from any of the villagers. It came from deeper in the forest, from somewhere she couldn't see, somewhere no human should have been standing. Her pulse hammered so hard her vision blurred for a second. One of the elders crawled toward her on his knees. "Go back to your hut," he begged, "before it reaches you fully." "Before what reaches me?" Amara demanded. "What is out there?" The elder shook his head like a frightened child. "We don't say its name outside the circle." "Why?" "Because it listens." Amara's skin prickled. She didn't wait for further explanation. She turned and rushed back through the forest path, branches clawing at her clothes. She didn't stop until the faint lights of the village returned. By the time she reached her grandmother's hut, she could barely breathe. She kicked the wooden door shut and pressed her back against it, her mind spinning. She needed answers. Real answers. No more riddles. At dawn, she found one. A carved symbol, identical to the one from the burial cloth, was etched into the wall inside the hut. Amara ran her fingers over it. It felt warm, almost pulsing. She shuddered and stepped back. She pulled out her phone and dialed the one person who might know something. Her mother. Her mother answered immediately, sounding breathless. "Amara, why are you calling so early?" "Why didn't you come for Grandma's burial?" Amara said. Her voice cracked despite her best efforts to hold it steady. Her mother was silent for several seconds. "Because that village is cursed. I left for a reason." "A reason you never told me," Amara snapped. "What happened there?" "Nothing you need to carry." Her mother's voice shook as if someone had grabbed her throat. "You buried her and you leave. Today, before they involve you." "Involve me in what?" Amara demanded. "What ritual? Everyone is acting like I'm supposed to do something." Her mother inhaled sharply. "You listen to me. You do not ask questions about that ritual. You do not speak the name of the thing tied to it. You do not stay after sunset. And you do not let them near you." "Then tell me why." Her mother's voice cracked. "Because your grandmother didn't die. She was consumed." The line went dead. Amara stared at the phone, heart pounding. Consumed? By what? Why wouldn't anyone give her the truth? She didn't get long to think. The door creaked open behind her. A young man she vaguely recognized from childhood. Tari stood there with a nervous expression. "You shouldn't be inside alone," he said quietly. Amara stepped back. "What do you want?" "I came to warn you." He glanced over his shoulder before closing the door. "Everyone else will lie to you. I won't." "Then start talking," Amara said. Tari sighed and sat on the edge of the wooden stool, hands trembling. "The ritual they're preparing is called Odo Uso. It's forbidden because it binds something old, something dangerous." "The thing I heard in the forest?" Amara asked. Tari nodded. "We call it the Walker Between Homes." The name alone made her stomach twist. "It's not a spirit. It's older," Tari continued. "It feeds on guilt, regret, failures passed through blood. Your grandmother held it in place for years. When she grew weak, the seal weakened too." Amara swallowed. "What does this have to do with me?" Tari looked at her with sorrow. "The role of keeper is passed down the bloodline. Your grandmother was the last. When she started fading, they needed another. Your mother was chosen." "My mother left," Amara whispered. "That's why they turned to you." Amara felt her knees weaken. She steadied herself on the wall. "So all of this, the villagers watching me, whispering my name, they think I'm next?" "They don't think," Tari said. "They know." Amara shook her head in disbelief. "I'm not doing anything. I'm not performing some ancient ritual. I don't care what they believe." Tari stood abruptly. "You don't have a choice. Once it calls your name, it has already touched you. And last night, you heard it." A chill surged through her. Tari hesitated, then added quietly, "The walker is hungry. It hasn't fed in months. If you don't bind it again, it will break free. And if it does, the entire village dies first, then anyone who carries your bloodline." Amara felt anger rise beneath her fear. "So they expect me to sacrifice my life because they're afraid?" They expect you to finish what your grandmother held for decades, Tari said. Amara stormed out of the hut, leaving Tari behind. She marched straight to the elder's compound. She kicked the wooden gate open. The elders jolted in surprise as she stepped inside. Tell me the truth, she demanded. All of it. No more riddles. The eldest elder sighed deeply. Your grandmother agreed to be the keeper when she was only 16. The entity was already killing villagers. She saved us for decades. But keeping it bound drains life slowly. She wasn't sick, Amara said slowly. She was being drained. Yes, the elder replied. When she fell, the seal cracked. Disappearances began again. We had no choice but to summon her successor. Amara clenched her fists. I'm not doing it. The elder met her gaze calmly. If you refuse, you will not survive the night, nor will any of us. A sudden knock sounded on the elder's door. A panicked young man burst inside. It's here, he gasped. Someone just vanished near the river. Amara felt her breath catch. The elder turned to her. Now, do you understand the urgency? She didn't answer. She couldn't. And if you're still with the story, remember to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of this terrifying mystery. Amara followed the elders and several villagers as they rushed toward the river. Fear tightened her throat with every step. The sun was still high, yet the forest ahead seemed unnaturally dim, as if something massive blocked the light. When they reached the riverbank, people huddled together, trembling. A woman cried uncontrollably. Two men held her upright. Amara stepped forward. What happened? No one answered at first. Then Tari pointed toward the ground. Look! There were footprints in the mud, fresh, deep, heavy. They led directly into the water. But only one set. No return tracks, no signs of struggle, just one long trail straight into the river as though the person had calmly walked into the depths. Who was it? Amara whispered. A villager replied with a quivering voice. Kachi, she came to fetch water. People heard her scream once. By the time we got here, his voice broke. Amara's stomach turned. The walker did this? The elders didn't speak, but their silence was answer enough. A sudden chill swept through the air. The leaves rustled despite the stillness. The villagers stiffened. Amara felt a presence brush against her, cold and deliberate, like fingers tracing her spine. A soft whisper rose from the river, warped by the sound of rushing water. Amara! She staggered back, heart pounding. The whisper didn't sound like the one from the forest. This one sounded like her grandmother. No, she murmured. No, that can't be. It's imitating her, Tari said sharply. It uses the voices of the people we've lost. Don't listen. But Amara couldn't pull her eyes away from the river. The water rippled, although nothing touched it. A shadowy outline formed beneath the surface, shifting, stretching, rising. She backed away fast. We need to go, now! The villagers didn't need more convincing. They fled toward the village with Amara in the middle of the frantic rush. When they reached the square, chaos erupted. The elders tried to calm people, but panic spread faster than words could. Amara pulled Tari aside. Tell me everything. I need to understand what I'm dealing with. Tari inhaled shakily. The walker between homes doesn't live in our world. It exists between moments, between guilt and memory. When someone in the bloodline falters, it tests them. If the keeper is strong, it stays bound. If the keeper weakens, it feeds. And the ritual binds it? She asked. Yes, but binding it requires something you don't want to accept. Tell me, Amar insisted. Tari's eyes softened with pity. The keeper doesn't just perform the ritual. They become the barrier. Their life force seals it away. Your grandmother gave her entire life to hold it. When she weakened, it grew strong. Amara struggled to breathe. So if I do this ritual, I die. You don't die, he said softly. You just won't live. Not here. The words chilled her deeper than the river's whisper. Before she could respond, an elder shouted for everyone to gather. Amara joined the crowd reluctantly. The eldest elder raised his staff. The walker grows bold. It already claims our people. We must prepare the circle tonight. Amara must take her place. Amara stepped forward, fury blazing in her chest. You expect me to throw myself into a ritual I barely understand? Why didn't you train someone else? Why put everything on one family? The elder met her gaze with solemn sadness. Because the entity marked your line centuries ago. It only recognizes your blood. It only submits to your blood. You were chosen before you were born. Amara clenched her teeth. My mother ran, and her escape weakened the line, the elder said. She delayed the ritual, but now the cost is being paid in doubled hunger. Amara turned away, unable to listen any longer. She walked toward her grandmother's hut, needing space, needing air. But when she stepped inside, she froze. Her grandmother's journal lay open on the mat, pages fluttering, although there was no wind. A single sentence was underlined in shaky ink. When the seal breaks, the blood must return to the path. Amara sank to her knees, tears building behind her eyes. She whispered, Grandma, what did you get yourself into? The door creaked. She turned sharply, expecting a villager, but no one stood there. Only shadows stretched across the doorway, long and deliberate, curling inward like fingers. A voice drifted inside, soft and coaxing. You came back for me. Amara scrambled backward. Stay away. The shadows shifted. The air grew impossibly cold. You were the only one who didn't run, the voice murmured. Stay. Finish what she couldn't. Amara's breath hitched. I'm not your keeper. I didn't agree to anything. The shadow paused. Then it changed shape, forming a silhouette that looked exactly like her grandmother. Same height, same posture, same gentle tilt of the head. Child, it whispered. Amara stood trembling. You're not her. The figure smiled faintly. But I know her voice, her hopes, her fears. I know everything she hid from you. Amara bolted out of the hut, heart in her throat. The villagers turned as she ran into the square, shaking violently. It's here, she gasped. It's inside the village. The elders exchanged grim looks. Tari grabbed her arm. It's time. We have to prepare the shrine. I'm not ready, Amara whispered, voice cracking. I don't want to die. He held her steady. You're not dying. You're choosing who gets to live. If this story has your heart racing, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe before we reach the final act. The ending is not what you expect. Night fell faster than Amara expected. One moment the sky was purple, the next it had collapsed into thick darkness, swallowing the village whole. Torches burned across the square, their flames trembling as if frightened. Every villager gathered, forming a wide circle around the forest path leading to the shrine. Amara stood at the center, her hands shaking uncontrollably. Tari placed a woven cloth around her shoulders, marked with the same symbols she'd seen since she arrived. This belonged to your grandmother, he whispered. She wore it during her first binding. Amara clutched the fabric. Did she ever want this? Tari's voice softened. She wanted peace. For herself. For you. But peace requires someone to stand between the world and what hunts it. Amara swallowed hard. I'm not as strong as she was. Tari stepped closer. Strength isn't what binds the walker. Acceptance does. The elders signaled. It was time. The villagers began marching toward the forest. Amara followed, breath shallow, heart heavy. Shadows moved between the trees, watching them. Sometimes she thought she heard footsteps behind her, but when she turned, nothing was there. The deeper they walked, the colder the air became. Then the chanting started. Low at first, a single voice, then two, then dozens. Their voices wove together like threads forming a net. Amara's skin tingled. The entity was close. They reached a clearing lit by dozens of torches stuck in the ground. At the center stood an ancient stone shrine covered in carvings that pulsed like veins. Her grandmother's belongings lay at its base, arranged with ceremonial precision. Amara stepped forward. What do I do? The eldest elder raised his staff. When the walker appears, do not run. Do not speak its false name. Do not accept its bargains. You must recite the binding words from the cloth. Amara looked down at the symbols. I don't understand them. You don't need to, he said. The blood remembers. Amara's chest tightened. What does that even mean? A loud crack echoed through the forest. The torches flickered violently. A heavy presence descended onto the clearing. Villagers dropped to their knees in fear. Amara stood frozen as a shape peeled itself out of the darkness between two massive trees. It didn't walk. It didn't glide. It simply appeared, like a thought made visible. Tall, twisted, faceless. But its presence pressed against her mind like a cold hand. A voice slid through the air. "Child of Eboli." Amara's breath caught. "Don't call me that." The figure tilted its head. "You look just like her. Your grandmother. The one who sang to keep me still. She whispered her regrets to me every night." Amara clenched her fists. "Stop talking like you know her." "I knew her better than you ever did," the entity replied. Its shape blurred, shifted, became her grandmother's silhouette again. "She wanted you to stay away. She wanted to break the chain, but she was too afraid of what would happen if she let go." Amara shook her head. "You're trying to manipulate me." The figure stepped closer without moving. "No, I'm offering you the truth." The air twisted. Suddenly, Amara felt herself standing somewhere else. A forest path. A moonlit night. Her grandmother kneeling in the shrine, trembling, gasping as shadows crawled across her skin. A memory, or a vision. Amara flinched. "Stop! Get out of my head!" "Accept your place," the entity whispered. "Or let the village burn. Let the world burn. Let your bloodline end." Amara stumbled back, breathing fast. She felt the cloth around her shoulders warm, almost burning. Her grandmother's voice echoed faintly in her mind, soft but firm. Not fear, understanding. Amara straightened slowly. "If I do this," she said, "you don't touch anyone else. Ever again." The entity laughed, a hollow echo that made the torches dim. "You don't negotiate with me, little keeper." "Watch me," Amara whispered. She stepped up to the shrine. The cloth pulsed. A strange energy surged up her arms. Her lips began forming words she didn't recognize but somehow knew. The entity lurched forward. The villagers screamed. Amara's voice grew louder, stronger. The symbols on the cloth blazed with light, wrapping around her like chains made of fire. The entity shrieked. Shadows writhed violently. Amara kept chanting. The ground shook. The torches blew out one by one. The air tightened like the world was being squeezed. A blinding flash swallowed the clearing. Then silence. When the light faded, Amara was gone. The shrine glowed faintly, its carving sealed, its surface warm. The walker was trapped again, but so was she. The villagers rose slowly, stunned and grief-stricken. Tari fell to his knees, tears spilling down his face. "Amara, I'm sorry." The elders bowed their heads. "A keeper has taken her place." As dawn crept through the forest, a soft breeze rustled the trees. The shrine pulsed once, then went still. Hours later, back in the village, children claimed they heard a whisper when the wind blew, a voice that sounded like Amara, watching, guarding, enduring. The villagers rebuilt their lives slowly, but none forgot the sacrifice that had saved them. And deep in the shrine, behind layers of ancient bindings, a faint crack glowed, a tiny fracture, just enough for a whisper to slip through.